Hi you guys, we're going to get started in just a few. We're going to let everyone log on who wants to see our microplastics lab and talk to Megan and I, Nicole, about some plastics. So join us.
Welcome you guys. Let us know if you can hear us.
Yeah, we always love. Hey Sarah! We're working with two things. We got Megan on a laptop over there monitoring our chat. So if you have any comments, questions, concerns, she's going to be monitoring that all day long. We got 6 on here.
Hi, loud and clear. Woohoo!
Perfect. Love to see it.
Party time.
It's really funny how much of a lag there is. I can see us talking over there about 45 seconds after we've set it onto our screen.
It's crazy. All right, what's everyone doing today?
Hey Ron, how are you? I'm so glad you can hear us. It's good to see you again.
Oh, that's gonna be so interesting watching us back. How's everyone's day? It's nice and hot here in the Florida Keys. Really warm?
Yes, very
it's
warm.
A little sweaty out here. What else? What else is new? Who's ready to talk about microplastics?
We are. We're just gonna wait another couple seconds to make sure everybody who wants to be on can get on before we get into the gist of it.
Woohoo!
Megan, tell us a fun fact about yourself.
About myself?
Uh-huh. What's your favorite color?
My favorite color? Blue, like the water.
Ooh, like reef water blue?
Yes, like turquoise blue, like ooh. You can see right through the bottom, see all the corals and fish. What's your favorite color?
Brown. Everyone makes fun of me. I really love brown. It's just such a versatile color.
I'm trying not to judge you for that.
You knew this about me.
Oh, okay.
It matches everything. All right.
It's 2. Let's
Perfect.
go ahead and start.
All right, so welcome back to Marine Lab Virtual Labs. We're going to be doing a lab every Thursday here on Facebook at 2 p.m. So welcome. It's our first lab that we're doing. My name's Nicole, and next to me I have...
I'm Megan. Hi, guys. You saw me last Tuesday, talking about our citizen science programs, our marine debris, and... Sorry, we just had someone else judge Nicole for the brown favorite color. You know, thank you, Anne. But yeah, you guys saw me last week talking about our marine debris, citizen science programs, and our microplastics. So today we're going to dive in deeper into our microplastics program, talk about it, show you guys some of the stuff we end up finding, and give you some solutions. So.
Yes, absolutely. So first and foremost, before we even talk about our lab, we have to define some things. And the first thing is plastic. And plastic is a synthetic material made out of organic polymers. It can be malleable and molded into different consistencies to make it super, super squishy or super, super hard, which is pretty cool. It's an amazing invention that we've had that has changed the world pretty much in every single way. But it also has seen some pretty negative effects, and that's where we're gonna kind of come into that microplastics. And microplastics are still plastic, but they have either been broken down or made to be less than 5 millimeters big. And when we see and think about microplastics, Megan can agree with me, we usually think things that can just fit into your hand, maybe some bigger chunks, maybe they're like half the size of your pinky or smaller, but it's really smaller than your pinky nail width across. So not even just down, but like across right there, and that's really, really tiny. I didn't even think it would be that tiny when I first started studying microplastics. I thought it would be like
that big.
Pinky nail or thumbnail or smaller, but it's just that width across, and that's pretty tiny. And there's 2 ways we classify microplastics. The first one is those primary plastics that are intentionally made to be 5 millimeters or smaller, which is pretty insane that they make plastic that small and that they're doing it intentionally. And then the second one is our secondary plastics that are broken down over time. So something like your sunscreen bottle or your milk jug or something like that that's broken down over years, maybe through the sun, maybe in the water, maybe through wind, maybe from chemicals, that's gonna be less than that 5 millimeters apart. Megan, you wanna talk about where we find There's primary ones.
Oh yeah. So primary plastics are things that are, like Nicole said, made to be microplastics. So like if you're, again, looking at the width of your pinky finger, they're that size or smaller. So these are things like, if you guys have ever owned Beanie Babies, if you've seen them Beanie Babies, all those nurdles that are in there, those microplastics were designed to be that small, right? They were made to be that way. In industrial scrubbers, right, you need something really abrasive. They make plastics intentionally to be that small for that. And then more recently, at least that I found out, there are plastics in our products that we use on our bodies, which is crazy. I honestly, until I started learning more about microplastics, had no idea that the products I was using every day had plastic in it. It's crazy. So back in, I think 2015, yes, I'm remembering all my dates here. December 2015, Obama signed
President Obama, not Michelle.
Sorry, words are fun. President Obama signed the Microbead Free Waters Act, which is something insane that I honestly didn't even know about. It was pretty quiet of a movement, but it did a really big thing. So in early 2017 is when you guys started seeing it go into effect in stores. And what that did was it removed plastic from rinse-off facial and body products. So that plastic, you know, when you read a bottle and you're like, oh, there's no plastic in here, it's not just going to say plastic. It'll say polyethylene. That is the plastic that's going to be in our body products or our face care products. And so in early 2017, you started seeing things like Clean and Clear. If you guys ever used that with that, you know, abrasive face wash, that was designed to exfoliate. It actually used to have plastic in it. So in early 2017, they came back with a new and improved product, and they removed those plastics. Things like toothpaste, those used to have plastic in it, which was crazy and disgusting, because if you're like me and swallow a little bit of your toothpaste when you're brushing your teeth, if you were using one with plastic in it, you were swallowing plastic, which is crazy. So that Microbead Free Waters Act, what it did was it removed plastics from, and watch my language here, rinse-off products that were designed to exfoliate or cleanse the body and then be rinsed off. So that was stuff like your toothpaste and your face wash and stuff like that. But there is still plastic in your products. And I have here, I don't know, oh, where's the camera at? Here you go. I don't know if you guys can see those. Maybe not so clear. We'll look at it underneath the microscope. These were microbeads that we found in face wash. But after this, there's still plastics in things like deodorant. If you guys haven't checked your deodorant bottles, maybe check those after this. Makeup. And what I recently discovered when I had a lot of time in the house, I decided I was going to read sunscreen. And I discovered in my sunscreen that I was using, there is plastic in it, which is crazy. Every single sunscreen bottle that I had owned and was in the bottom of like my beach bag that had just, you know, accumulated there, they all had polyethylene in it, which is crazy. I had, before that, never thought that I was going to find plastic in my sunscreen. So it's still in some products, which is crazy. So I encourage you all to read a little bit about what you're putting on your body, what you're putting in your mouth, and make sure that there isn't any polyethylene, because that's crazy. I didn't know plastics were designed to be that small and in so many of our things. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's also in a lot of makeup. So ladies and fellas out there, if you're putting on makeup, you should really be checking those labels. I know Megan and I have checked a bunch, and it's really unfortunate how much is actually in there. But there are a couple good organizations out there that are making plastic-free makeup, which is pretty cool.
It is cool. So now we've kind of discussed a little bit about plastic, what it is, where we would find it. Why do we care? Why do we care about plastic? Well, you know, every single piece of plastic that has been made is still existing on this planet, right? As Nicole said, we have those secondary plastics that break down over time, and a lot of them end up in our marine environments. And when they are those microplastics, they are so small that it's pretty much, you're not able to get it out of the water when it is with our plankton, right? It can be the size of our plankton. If you guys tuned in 2 weeks ago and saw Emma and Pat talk about plankton, that's the size of some of those microplastics that are in the water. And so when you have our fish and our filter feeding organisms, right, in the water, they eat those plastics because they're the same size as plankton. They can't, you know, sift through it and separate the plastics from the plankton. They're eating it all. And plankton are at the bottom of the food chain. So all of these fish are now ingesting plastics. All of our filtering organisms in the water, things like oysters, right? Even the plankton themselves are eating plastics. So we know it's out there. We know where it's coming from. We know that things are consuming it, which is crazy.
But we don't know a lot of things. I forgot to show you guys some secondary plastics. I'm gonna flip them into my hand and kind of move the camera down. These are all microplastics that I found today, just going out to our boat ramp and looking around for like 5 minutes, right? Less than 5 minutes, I found all of these things. So we know they're in the water, but we really don't know what effects they're having on animals. There's been some studies, but there's more unknowns than there are knowns. They carry toxins sometimes. How does that affect the animals that eat them? How does it affect us? Because we eat a lot of things in the ocean as well. So the big thing is that scientists are really looking at some of those unknowns. Us here at Marine Lab, unfortunately, we don't have the tools to really understand a lot of those unknowns. We're just trying to show people where these things are present and kind of what's present in the water. So we're gonna head into the lab. Megan's gonna carry you guys in. So if you have any questions for her while she's coming in, she's going to be monitoring those comments. And we're gonna start our lab. So follow along.
All right, now I've got to figure out how to flip the camera.
Did you get it?
Haha, I did it. Gosh, I'm smart. All right, let's go into the Green Lab. Very cleverly named Green Lab. Green countertops. Look at that. All right, Nicole, show us where we're going.
All right, so come on up to our lab station. This afternoon, Megan and I walked out to our boat ramp and we got a liter of water. And this water hopefully would contain some microplastics. Fingers crossed, actually it doesn't, but more likely than not it would. We opened it up, poured it in through this big cup. It had a small filter, like this guy right here, that has 3 milliliter by 3 millimeter grids, so that when we put it up onto our microscope, we can see how big our microplastics are. And then we use this fancy pump and we start pumping. It creates a vacuum in our filtration system, cools the water down, but keeps all of, unfortunately, the sand, sediment, and that plastic on our filter paper. We then took our filter out, it's over here, and you can actually see how gunky and sedimenty that area is. Where we pulled it, it was right at our boat ramp, so there's a lot of wave movement, a lot of like sediment being stirred up, so that's not uncommon to see. And then we get to look at it under the microscope. But you might be asking, what exactly are we looking for? So on our virtual site, we have an ID sheet that you guys can follow along with us. But this ID sheet shows us the 4 different types of microplastics we find here in the Keys and around the world, really. They can be broken into those 4 categories. We have our fragments up here, which are those secondary plastics that have broken down from things like fishing wire or crab traps that are made out of plastic, maybe even from things like your water bottles. Down below, we have those microbeads. That's what Megan was talking about when she was talking about that Microbead Free Waters Act. These are the things that were in those abrasives. They're perfectly circular, so they look like little spheres sticking out on top of that paper. Sorry, I'm moving this around a lot. Up at the top, we have our microfibers. That's a pretty wild one. Here, we can zoom in a little bit to see that one. Microfibers usually are pretty brightly colored, and that's because they're fibers from our clothing. So I want you to grab your friend, maybe grab your own shirt, you're not put on live, and look at what it's made out of. If it's not 100% cotton or bamboo or silk or hemp, it's probably made out of a plastic. And when you throw those clothes in the washing machine and they tumble around, microfibers actually get released from the clothes. It's kind of like it's breaking down a little bit, and they can be put into your wastewater. That pumps out, and then wastewater treatment plants really can't filter it out. They don't have that small of a filtration system, so they just get pushed around because they float instead of sink, which is pretty crazy. And then we have our films at the bottom. That's things like plastic bags that break down and are really, really thin. They're a type of fragment, that secondary plastic that's broken down, but they're in more of like a sheet-like formation instead of a hard, chunky formation like our fragment. So Today, we're gonna look at some samples that we've collected either today or in past. I even have one that was collected from the end of a washing machine cycle. So it's laundry wastewater to look at how many fibers came out of that. I provided you guys also with a data sheet. We are partnered with Florida Microplastic Awareness Project, and this data sheet allows us to collect some data on what we're finding in our area. Our students, if they take our microplastics class, also provide this kind of data to this organization, and we're looking for the abundance in each liter of water and also what types. And it's not so much to understand how much is here, but it's more an advocacy program to understand ways that we can prevent this from happening in the future. So Megan's gonna set the camera up and we're gonna throw up some microscope slides.
Well, okay. Camera's going down for a second. I can't multitask.
It's okay.
All right. Can you guys? Yeah, you can
see the screen?
see perfect.
All right. I think there's some comments too on.
There were, yes, a lot of people were saying the facts you were giving about microfibers were really interesting.
Ooh. I do love talking about microfibers. We'll get into a whole section at the end talking about solutions, but we did add a link on that virtual site. If you've done things to reduce your waste, you can always fill out that Google Doc. Megan, which one do you want to start with?
Which one do you want to start with?
Ooh, let's do the one we showed today. So, focus. So like I said, a lot of these samples, I'm going to try to minimize my head as much as possible, so I'm going to get really close to the screen.
I can get closer to you too.
Ooh, perfect. So a lot of our samples are taken out at the reef where the water is nice and crystal clear. There's not a lot of waves stirring up the bottom where it's pretty deep, so that sediment isn't rising to the top. But this guy right here is pretty sedimenty. All of these things right here are different sand particles or even some like sediment, silty stuff. This is a big algae branch. So this one is actually really hard to examine for microplastics. I personally would not feel confident IDing between sand and maybe a film or sand and a microbead right now, or even a fragment if it was really clear, just because there's so much going on this slide that it's not really easy to see. So I want you guys to follow along on your data sheets, but we're going to put up a much easier slide and a much easier thing. So Megan's going to be driving this slide for us. So if you have any complaints, direct them towards her. Ha, ha, just kidding.
You guys, this is from North Dry Rocks. It was taken last April, this sample.
So last April we grabbed a bottle. Ooh, that's pretty funky.
Is that a coconut?
I don't know if that's an animal or not. It's pretty funky. We pulled this off the reef, we filtered it, and we thought we kept it, so it must have some pretty good stuff in here. So I'm going to try to take another little step back so we can see it. Megan's driving very quickly.
Whoa.
Ooh, what do we got here?
I don't know. Focus, focus. What's that look like?
Looks pretty algae-y to me.
Alright.
So we'll move on. If you guys see something and you ID it, drop it in those comments. I can semi-see from a far distance, but I also don't have 20/20 eyesight, so.
It's true. Alright, let's see.
That looks pretty plasticky, but it might just be sand.
It could just be.
Ooh, right here, right here. Did you see
Yeah.
this one?
What about what's next to it? What's that look like?
That looks pretty fragmenty. Do you guys agree? Or do you think it looks organic? It's pretty dark color too. It looks a little blue. Oh,
There we go.
right here. Who can ID this guy for me right in the middle? I'll try to watch the comments.
I'm gonna jump over there. Let me zoom in better. There you go. Look, you can even see how it's lifted off of the paper.
Yes, that's pretty good.
Do ask questions. All right. Look into the questions. All right. What is she talking about?
Microplastics! Our favorite subject!
Topic.
Plastics that are less than 5 millimeters and that are usually found in our environment, things like our ocean.
All right, we got it. Bobby said a fiber.
Exactly, so this one's pretty easy. Megan kind of gave you a good telltale. It has that gap between the paper, it's not sticking flat. It also has a pretty bright color. Bright colorations are pretty abnormal to find in the natural world, things like neons, or even like this bright blue. It's not very common to find that. So a bright coloration will help us, but sometimes they can be algae. There's tests that more advanced scientists than us, namely people who are trusted better with fire than Megan and I, seconds, or less than 5 seconds, put it back down, and if it crumbles and melts into a little ball, that means it's plastic. If it looks like it's singed or burned, that means it's a natural fiber. So there's no way for us to tell if this is plastic or not, but we can understand that it's a fiber. Do I have any questions over there, Megan?
No, we're good.
All right, let's look for something else.
Okay, which one do we want?
Is there nothing else on this?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Let's check the slides.
Yeah, make sure we're checking this one.
I guess I could have had like a more methodic way of looking through this grid.
You're supposed to go down a row, up a row, Megan, but we'll forgive you. We'll do it correct.
I got too excited you guys to look for fibers.
Megan really loves fibers. I think we should show the wastewater one next. All right, I can't find it. Oh, we're gonna show it now.
Sorry, again, too excited.
So this one was taken by one of our instructors, Rachel. She has an open pipe that allows her to catch the water coming out of her washing machine. And she used this last year for our Earth Day event to show pretty much anyone where this water, or where the fibers coming out of our laundry machines are going. And it's going into our wastewater treatment plants, or if you have septic systems, stuff like that. So right here, this one looks like a pretty long fiber. We know it's not algae because it's coming out of her laundry machine. So there's one fiber. I know there's going to be a few more on here.
What's that?
Ooh, got another one right here, and I think one right here too as well. I just don't know if we can focus it easily on both of them. Take a step back. Ooh, we got one down here.
You guys, this is crazy. This is just
So we've already found 3, and we're not even like a quarter of the way through.
Sorry, my driving skills are not the best.
You're doing a great job, Megan.
Oh, is that another tiny one?
That looks like a little one,
And
for sure. So 4. So it looks like there's a lot of sand. Rachel must have been going to the beach this week.
Ha!
Any other ones on this section?
Going fast.
I know you are zooming. That was our big one. Ooh. Got a crinkle in the paper?
Let's see.
There's another one. That one's pink. Ooh, and there's one right here as well.
Look at that. Here, I'll focus on that.
So it might be purple actually.
It's hard
We
to
got a
tell.
big one right here. You can see it really well, that fiber. And then there's also one right behind my head. It's kind of in a horseshoe shape. Pretty cool. So we're up to 6 fibers, and we've only looked at, would you say, less than half of the slide, Megan?
Yeah. Let me move this.
Which is pretty crazy.
Someone said it would be better if we kept the cell phone at her left side.
Ooh, left side?
No, you just stay there.
Oh gosh, it's not my best side.
Sorry, everyone. Hang on. There we go.
Megan and I should not be allowed with technology. For 25-year-olds, we are not the best at it.
Ooh.
So we got 2 right here. Megan, you want to keep driving? We're watching it on slow motion as you guys. All right, Megan, keep driving the slide. We gotta stay on focus. All right. Stay on content. Any more? Let's see. We're up to 6 fibers, which is pretty wild. Thankfully, this isn't a natural made sample. Thankfully, it is coming straight out of hers. We didn't pick up just a liter out of the water and there was 6. That'd be pretty scary. However, what we find most here at Marine Lab is those fibers. We have yet to find a microbead, at least during Megan and I's time here. We've never seen a microbead. But scientists, when they started this project, were looking a lot for those microbeads because in the Great Lakes, that's what was seen the most. But down here, where we are, for some reason, we're not seeing a lot of microbeads. We got another fiber right here. Potentially a fiber right there. Potentially.
Do you guys know or have a guess as to which type of a washing machine releases less fibers? Is it the top loading or the front loading washing machine?
Yeah, so a top loading or front loading washing machine. Which one do you think releases less of these fibers from our clothing? Drop it in the comments below. Don't know where your comment section is.
Somewhere.
Not a famous YouTuber, so I'm not as good as they would be.
Shockingly.
With the arrows. I know. comment below.
Maybe you saw one in this corner right here.
Ooh, that could be. It's pretty far, and I have glare. If you think it's a fiber, write it in below. We do see occasionally a film and a fragment. Fragments can be anything from a fishing line breaking down to a water bottle to your glasses. Anything that's made out of plastic can become a fragment in this microplastic world, which is pretty wild. Oh, there's another one. I feel like DJ Khaled.
Another one.
All right. So, Megan's gonna keep scrolling through this one for just the rest of the slide. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you think could be some solutions to this fiber issue? If we're seeing these fibers straight out of our washing machines, if we're seeing fibers in the natural world like we did on that first slide at our reefs, what do you guys think you can do at home to create less fibers entering into the environment? Drop it in those comments while Megan's scrolling through the remainder of the slide. Do you see another one? Oh yeah, you do. That one's really clear.
Eyes like a hawk.
Yeah. Megan's our microplastic finding queen. I don't know if that was in my, I think it was in my range of view.
Alright, no one answered about which type of washing machine, so why don't you tell them?
It's front loading, correct?
Yes.
She put me on the spot, guys. I was like, we don't have a front loading one, so it must be a front loading one. So those front loading washing machines, they are going to tumble and stir more, so more likely those fibers would break off from your fabrics. If you are really bored, comment below what your t-shirt or your shirt is made out of. Megan, tell me what your shirt is made out of.
I couldn't tell you. But people did answer your last question. We have Holly said consume less.
Ooh.
Rachel, who said buy secondhand clothes.
Buying secondhand clothes is a really big one for those fibers. By stopping production of new clothes, we're not making new fibers. So that's a really good one, Rachel, to buy those secondhand clothes. There's a lot of really good organizations, especially now that everything's getting pushed online. So thrift shops and secondhand stores and things like ThredUp are all online, so you can buy clothes secondhand, which is pretty awesome. Any other suggestions? We got consume less. That's always a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Reduction is always the first key in that 4R, that reduce, reuse, refuse, recycle. Refuse is the first one. Reduce is the second one.
Something like that.
I switch them around all the time.
We have Ron said buy items made of natural fibers and materials.
Yes, so that's always a good one. There's 100% cotton, 100% bamboo. Me and an instructor, Rachel here, we actually found shorts that we could wear every day that are made out of 100% bamboo, which is pretty crazy. Kids will ask us all the time if they're pajama shorts because they're so comfy and swishy. But that's always good to look for those 100% things. But it's not always the easiest, I would say, too, because a lot of companies kind of like to capitalize on that 100% natural fibers. So if you find a good one, comment it below because your girl could save some dollars. Those companies are hard. But there are also companies out there that are striving to make more, like Patagonia did a whole study on microfibers and what their common 3-button-up retool fleece jacket actually produces. And it's, if you were to wash 100,000 jackets a year, it'd be over 11,000 plastic bags of microfibers being released into the environment. And that's insane. We'll drop the link of that article in the comment section below after this video. You should check it out because it's pretty wild.
To put it in perspective, it is 11,000 of that. 11,000 plastic bags filled with those. See how small those are?
It takes a lot. And that's only 100,000 jackets being washed for a year.
That's crazy.
And they make more than that every year, which is wild. But they're looking at more alternative products, natural fibers to make their clothes out of. Megan and I have some of our own solutions that we'll turn the camera around for in just a second. But I still want to hear from you guys what your solutions would be. It doesn't have to be just microfibers either. How are ways you could reduce those fragments and those films getting in the environment? Comment those below, and we're going to spin you guys around. Oh, yes, never mind. We're going to talk about something else first. Before we talk about solutions,
we have that lag to
you
fill.
guys can come over here and look at Florida Microplastic Aware Project's webpage. This this organization has been created, and it's what we use for our microplastics lab. So we enter all of our data on here, but they have some pretty cool resources, including this cool map.
And you guys, this is just happening right now in Florida. So if you're lucky enough to live in Florida, you guys can get on. It's plasticaware.org, and you can check out where you live. Maybe you're up here in Florida, up at the top. You can check out what people are doing in your area. We'll check out by us because
yes, down here in the Keys. Here's at our boat ramp, the same place we got data today. We found 3 fragments and 2 films that day. Pretty amazing. We found no fibers. But if we were to go up towards, let's say Tampa up here, we'll go right there. At St. Joseph Sound, they found a fiber up there. If we were to go over to Jacksonville, they were finding 4 fibers, which is pretty wild, out in the Atlantic Ocean. So this website is pretty interactive. They also, if you go back, have a pledge right here that you guys can take, and we will attach the link below that lets them know what you guys are doing to reduce your waste as well. But to enter our data, we go to a website they've provided us. We enter our sampling location in, the time, the date. We have a sample bottle number to let them know exactly which one we're doing. And then we start to put how many fibers. And since we don't do a flame test, we skip those. How many fragments, how many microbeads, and then how many film. And then if we have any extra comments, like there was 1 million fibers in this sample, I don't know what's going on, we would add them to that as well. Add our name, also our name if it's the same person, and the contact email and whatnot to let them know exactly who's doing it, and if they have questions, they can give it to us. So it's a pretty cool kind of citizen science project that we get to be a part of that adds some baseline data to this organization that we really love and are passionate about. So Megan, you ready to talk about some solutions?
Let's talk solutions over here. Let me go drop you off over here. Turn off. Do you want to go turn on the lights so they can maybe see better?
Absolutely.
Sweet. I'm gonna start showing you guys some of our solutions. So these are all things. Oh, it's so bright. These are all things from Nicole and mine's house. Nicole and our house. These are all things from our house. We do purchase reusable bags. Just something easy that we do. We are big Christmas lovers, so all of ours actually have a Christmas theme to them. Pretty fun. We have stasher bags. So these are silicone bags we use instead of plastic bags. We use bar soap instead of purchasing a plastic soap bottle and then getting a new one every time. We just use bar of soap. We bring our reusable coffee mugs with these really cute stickers. That's so cute, that eagle ray. I'm a big peanut butter fiend, so I like to purchase my peanut butter bottles in glass. And that way, when I have finished my peanut butter, I go ahead and rinse this glass jar, and then I use it to store all sorts of other things. I like to put pasta sauce in there. All of my flours that I bake with, when I open the bag, I just chuck them in there to make sure it stays nice and sealed tight. We have, again, coconut oil. What else do we have? Nicole and I tried our hand at making our own beeswax wraps the other day. You know, we have to workshop that a little bit, but it was pretty fun. We used beeswax instead of plastic wrap. All sorts of other things.
I utilize also things out of glass, so all of my facial washes and even my toothpaste, this one's pretty wild, come in glass jars, and I can reuse them and get everything shipped to me in paper. My lips balm, so my chapstick that I use, SPF is even in metal, so I'm not even using plastic for that.
It's crazy. Let's see. We have, instead of plastic things, use things made up of clothes in daily usage. Yeah, I agree. Nicole recently told me that you can use socks as a really good duster. Didn't ever think about it. Make sure the socks are clean, you know, before you go dust in your house. Don't use like a dirty, sweaty sock, right? We even have, what is this? Cleaner. Yeah, like a household cleaner that we have in a glass jar. We just buy refillable tabs. They come in a cardboard little pill-size bin, and we just refill it that way. So yeah,
something we do always love to talk about, yeah, you can flip this over. Hi, we're back. Is that it doesn't have to be something that you buy that is going to replace the plastic. Maybe it's grabbing silverware out of your own kitchen drawer before you go out to eat, or if you know you're gonna get takeout that night, to not use that plastic cutlery. If you don't want to go out and purchase stuff, or maybe Amazon's back ordered 12 million days like it currently is right now, there's things you can switch using old t-shirts as rags or paper towels, things like that, especially since this country has had a paper towel shortage. Maddie said that exactly as I said it out loud too. That's pretty funny. And socks, like I said, those I always used as a duster. Rachel, I agree. Those glass jars really come in handy. Even if you have plastic jars, just reusing that stuff that you already have is really important in kind of cycling it back through and eliminating new things being made.
It's true. Yeah, even something as simple of a switch as using a paper bag at a store versus a plastic bag. Or I know our Publix down here, if we do use their plastic bags, they at the bottom say, please bring them back and we can recycle them. So it's pretty crazy how they can work that back into their system. Yeah. Straws, right? Everyone loves those reusable straws nowadays. Saying no to a straw is also a really nice, easy fix. Let's see, do we have any others? No. But you guys, when we talk about plastic alternatives and stuff, we're not saying you have to use all of these things. Yeah, if you don't, you're not doing a good enough job. No. We are saying find something in your life, find something that you can switch, find something that you can easily change that can start reducing your plastic waste, all right? Just something, maybe it's as simple as going stinky for a few days, right? Not washing your clothes as much. Love saying that one out loud. Sometimes we get a lot of kids who like really get on the not washing their clothes ban, you know? It's kind of fun here at Marine Lab.
Megan also gets on that no washing the clothes ban.
Why not, right? Or maybe it's something as simple as reusing your peanut butter jar, or switching out your straw and getting a metal one, or a fun little silicone one that bends and you can stick it in your water bottle. Mm-hmm. Something simple like that. Finding what you guys can do feasibly in your lives, right? You don't have to do everything all at once, that's crazy. But just finding little things that you can change.
And it's all about us all doing things kind of imperfectly. No one's going to be perfect in this. We don't have all the answers. We don't know what 10 years from now, maybe some of these alternatives or plastic is going to be doing. So it's just doing what you can do in the moment and what you feel good doing. So don't ever feel pressured. We're pretty excited about some of the alternatives that have been made in the last couple years, but it's not the end all save all.
No, sorry, we had some comments. Someone asked, is this microplastic pollution higher in saltwater versus freshwater?
Ooh, that's a really good question. We only sample down here in saltwater. So our data hasn't shown us that difference because we don't have freshwater samples, but I'm sure there's some research out there. I know the Great Lakes has a lot of microplastic research out there.
Yeah, that's crazy. I actually don't know that answer either. We can look into it, I'm sure.
Yes.
Someone seconds me. Thank you, Holly. Wear your clothes more than once. Yeah. Why not, right?
Hi, Holly.
Deodorant. Someone said paper, cups, plates, and straws instead of plastic materials.
Yes, using those natural materials is always a good alternative. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
No, I scrolled too far up. Yeah, if you guys have any others, go ahead and throw those in those comments. If you have any other questions for us, but I believe that's all we have for you today.
On the virtual website, there is that Google form that you guys can fill out, ways that you yourself have reduced your waste or even your plastic waste. I'm going to be jumping on Instagram Live in the next couple weeks talking about reducing waste and composting, which is a whole nother can of worms that I'm going to open up. So I want to use some of that to talk about your questions that you guys have about reducing waste. I saw another question.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's a big word. Do you do ecoxytolic?
You're using words that are larger than what we have practiced. Daniel, I'm going to say
ecotoxicology with microplastics.
I'm going to say no, because I'd have to look up the definition of that word. I'm sorry. If I come up with a better answer, I'll let you know in the comments.
All right, you guys, I want to end too. I've been staring at this whole time. I want to show you guys our plastic pledge board that we have here with all of our students that have come. They've done this microplastics lab. They've contributed to citizen science here at Marine Lab. we have this board that they all signed after they took the plastic pledge, which is really crazy. Thanks to all of our awesome students. Look how cool that is. All right, that's all we have for them. Someone is very excited about composting.
Ooh, Ron, me too. If you have any questions about my composting, you can drop them in. I'll talk about them as well in that Instagram live.
It's true.
But if that's all the questions we have for today, we're gonna sign off. We don't wanna hold you guys too long today. Thank you for joining us. We'll be doing another lab next Thursday, so come back at 2 o'clock to view our next lab. Thank you guys.
See you later. All right.